Hi everyone. So in my previous video, I've shown you the installation of Universal Forwarder. To continue on that, we are going to set up an indexer, and then I'm going to show you how to start pushing the logs from this Universal Forwarder to this Splunk Indexer. So for that, we will have to provision an EC2 instance to set up the Splunk Indexer, and then we'll do the configuration changes on this as Splunk Universal Forwarder instance in order to start pushing the logs from this Universal Forwarder instance to the Splunk Indexer instance. Okay, so let's begin. Let's provision an EC2 instance to set up the Splunk Indexer. I'm going to give it a name as Splunk Indexer. I'm going to use the Amazon Linux only, 64-bit. For this demo, I'm going to take the large instance here. Key pair I am going to use from my existing key pairs. Security group, I'm going to use the existing security group, Splunk. And this security group I have shown you in my previous video, like what all ports are already configured there. So you can take a look. Launch instance. Okay, so this instance is being provisioned. Just allow for a couple of seconds. It should be up. Okay, so this indexer instance has come up now. Let's connect to it. Accept it because we are connecting it for the first time. The default username, as you already know why now, it's EC2 user for Amazon Linux. So connect to it. Change it to root user. Okay, so the installation again we are going to do inside the OPT directory. And this time we are going to install the Splunk Enterprise. So this is the Splunk's official page, splunk.com. And in our case, it's a Linux instance, 64-bit. So we get three options again here, RPM, tar, and deb. So we are going to use the tar file. Click on it, and once the download begins, we'll just cancel it. Yeah, because we do not need to download it in this local machine, right? So instead, we'll take this command line and download it in the EC2 instance. Okay, so it's being downloaded here on the EC2 instance directly. It's been downloaded now. Yeah, we can see it. It's been downloaded successfully. So in order to use it, we need to extract it. So let's do it. So the extraction is being done now. Okay, it should be a, yeah, it's done now. So if you see, we have the Splunk folder there, Splunk directory. So now if you want, we can just delete this tar file because it's no longer of use. So now we have this Splunk folder. So in order to install it or start this Splunk instance on this machine, we just need to go to this directory win folder, then need to execute this Splunk command. So this is the command you will have to write before executing any of the action on this instance, Splunk instance. So now we are going to start it, and it's our first time. So I'll just skip the terms and conditions by putting this. And this we have seen in our last video, right, when we were doing the universal forwarder installation. So that will skip the agreement part. Let's directly provide the username and password. Okay, so now the installation is being done, and soon we will have this Splunk accessible over the web browser. So we'll take a look there. So let the installation finish and then we'll access it through the web browser. Okay, so this installation is done. To check the status of Splunk on this machine, just execute this status. Okay, so we can see this Splunk D is running. So by default, the SSL won't be enabled on this machine. If we will access it, right, we can straight away access it by giving the port 8000, and we can access it using the username password we have given during the installation. So you see currently the SSL is not enabled on this instance, right? So to do that, there are two ways again. Either you can go to server settings here, and under general settings, you'll see that option to enable HTTPS, or this enable SSL, right? So you can click and then do it. However, I'm not doing it. I'll show you how to do it from the back end. So here you need to just run Splunk and then enable web SSL. So it will enable the HTTPS on this instance. And you need to provide the username password to do that. So this is done, but it won't take effect unless you restart this Splunk daemon. So just do that. There is another catch because that change was done here on the Splunk web, but still that's modifying the our configurations file. That's the reason I'm restarting the Splunk D. If there are some static changes on the Splunk web, we can just restart the Splunk web and not the complete Splunk daemon, right? So yeah, so this is done now. If you go back here and if you refresh it, it won't connect because now you won't be able to access it over HTTP, right? Because we have enabled the HTTPS. So for that, you will have to provide HTTPS explicitly to access it. Yeah. So it's up, can connect to it. So we are going to treat this instance as an indexer. I'll show you like how to do that. Okay. So to start pushing data to this indexer from the universal forwarder, I've already launched one instance where I have the universal forwarder running right on this machine, Splunk UF, and I have installed the universal forwarder there. So if you see, we already have this Splunk universal forwarder here. And to check the status of it, can just run this. So we can see it's running. Now we want to start pushing the data from this universal forwarder to this indexer machine. Now how to do that? The first and main important thing is that you need to enable the indexing on this indexer machine. So let's do that. Let's go here, click settings, forwarding and receiving, and then configure receiving. So I'll add new, and we are going to use the default port 9997. This is the receiving port. So this is done now. Let's restart Splunk on the indexer. Okay, so this restart is done now. You refresh here. Let's log in. You, you can see, right? This instance is ready to listen the data on this port 9997. So now let's go back to this universal forwarder. And again, there are two ways to configure the data forwarding from this. I'm going to use the CLI command. So Splunk add forward server, and then we need to give the IP of this indexer. So you can pick the IP directly from AWS console. So this is the IP of this indexer machine. Just put that, and we are going to forward the data on, because this indexer is listening the data on 9997, right? So just provide the port, provide the username, min123. Okay, so the data forwarding is added on this indexer. Now here, if you go to Splunk directory inside etc system local, you'll see this outputs.conf, right? So let's see the content of this file now. You can see that after executing this command add forwarder, it has created a default stanza group TCP output. It has created a default group, default auto LB group. And you can see the indexer server IP here on, and it's listening on port 9997. So we have configured 9997. In future videos, I'll show you how to push the data to multiple indexers at a time. Okay, so this is done now. Let's create one sample log file. So here I'm going to create a maybe sample.log. Okay, so I'll put today's date there, any random time, maybe current time only. This is the sample log file. Just copy it. Yeah, I'm just giving some random statements there. Okay, so this sample log file is done. Let's save it. Sorry. Okay, so that file, sample file has been created and it's inside the OPD directory sample.log. So in order to start pushing these logs to indexer, you need to configure the inputs.conf file. So let's go to etc local, etc system local directory. And here, if you see, we do not have inputs.conf file currently, right? So we'll have to do that. Create a inputs.conf. And I'll show you like what configuration goes here. So again, let's go to Splunk's official directory. If you type inputs.conf Splunk example, it will take you to the Splunk's official site. And you can go straight away to the end of this. You'll have the example file there. you see this inputs.conf example, right? So let's pick, we just need this stranger. So in our case, our file is inside OPT directory. So we need to provide the exact path of our file OPT. The file name is sample.log. The source type we can configure on the indexer side, or you can just give any random name here. Test logs. Index also, if you want to give explicitly an index name here, you can give it. Else, you can define the index name on top, like here you can define the index name, and then this will be being used by all the other input directories you provide here. So if you want to replace that index, if you don't want to use that default index text, you can give any other random name. So in our case, we are just going to use index equal to test, or let's do replace that index uf underscore test test uf. Okay. So we have given the directory opt sample.log. The log should be post to source type test logs using the index test uf. Okay, so let's save this file again. Since we have made the configuration changes, so we will have to restart the Splunk on this universal forwarder. So let's do that. So once this installation restart is done, it will start pushing those log files, those logs to indexer. How to check that? Now go back to your indexer, click on search, and check using wildcard. Okay, so we are getting this error. This is again one among the other errors we get when we use the free version of Splunk. So, but yeah, there is a temporary way of fixing it. So what I will do on this indexer, system log. So here if you'll see the server.conf, we have a stranger for this actually. This disk uses processor settings, right? Just copy it because it's not recommended to make any changes on the default directory, right? So I'm just copying this. Go back. Let's go to local directory. So here on the server.conf, I'll put those configurations. And what I'll do, I'll change this minimum free space to 50. So now if you save it, it's restarted because it's again a configuration change, right? So let's restart it. It will take a few seconds. Just wait for that. So our indexer would have been gone down because it's restarting, right? So it should be up soon. Just hold on for a while. Yeah. It's taking longer than expected, I believe. So, and the reason I think we could have done it before pushing the data. Okay, anyway, it's done now. So yeah, let's go back there. The Splunk web, it's making it available there. It should be up. That's done. Cool. So now if you log into Splunk Indexer, so you don't see any data. Why is that? It's already enabled 9997. Let's start universal forwarder once again. Okay, now let's check. It's not giving any data there. Let's troubleshoot it. So the first and most important thing is that we need to check the connectivity to our indexer server. Whether it's able to reach that server or not on 9997. Okay, telnet is not there. Let's install it quickly. Okay, it can connect, right? Good. Just quit it. Okay. So the connectivity is there. Let's see our outputs.conf files. So this is the our indexer IP 18.140.244.112. 44112, and the it's configured for the port 9997. So it looks fine here actually. Let's go to inputs.conf. So here we have indexed monitor sample.log. What's the file name inside OPT? It's sample.log. Okay, so this also looks correct. Sample.log. Source type test logs. Index test UF. It looks fine. I don't see any issues there. The data is also there in this file. Okay, it looks fine. Okay. Okay, let's see if any configuration errors there so that we can do using. Invalid keys danger and webhook TC system default alert actions. But that's not for our use. We can ignore it. Let's modify the sample.log. So restart UF. Gets done. Let's go back to indexer. Check again. It's showing nothing. That's strange actually. Deleted index. Okay, it looks like the data is coming, but some issues there. Unconfigured, disabled, deleted index test UF with source. Ah, okay. It looks like we haven't configured that index here. Sorry, that was my miss actually. Uh, we didn't created that index here. That's why the data was not coming. So now we have configured the test UF, right? We should have that data. But it's good. At least we got an error and we thought of troubleshooting. So it's good for the learnings at least. So now if you'll restart this, we need to restart indexer as well because we made the configuration changes. Because we have created that index test UF there, right? So need to restart it. Uh, if you want to test it on the default index, which is main index, then you do not need to create a new index there. You can just skip that index part in the inputs.conf on the universal forwarder side, or you can just mention index equal to main. So main is the default index and then it will start working. But since we are using the custom index, that's test UF. So for that, we need to configure that index on the indexer side. Otherwise, universal forwarder won't be able to push that data to that index, right? Because universal forwarder can't create that index on the indexer machine. So let's restart it and then we'll restart the universal forwarder and then we should be able to see that sample.log on the indexer machine. It has been a lengthy video, but yeah, at least we got to know like how to troubleshoot. Like we saw the glimpse of Splunk B tool as well. So I mean, anyway, I'll be covering these topics in detail in future videos. But for now, at least you got that idea like how to troubleshoot the things in Splunk. Okay, so let it come. Okay, so this Splunk indexer has been restarted. Let's restart the Splunk universal forwarder. Let's check the inputs.conf once again. Okay, so it's test UF and I think I've created the same index here. Let's cross check. Indexes. Okay, test UF. So now if you restart the universal forwarder, it's done. Now let's take a look on the indexer whether we got the data here or not. It's still not work. Sorry, it's equal to strange. Let's modify this data because I believe this data was already being pushed there. Due to some configuration issues, it wasn't ingested. So let's try to modify it. Sample log file data. Okay. So we have the data here in Splunk now. So the miss was we forgot to create that index on this indexer, right? Due to that, it wasn't able to push the data. Now, whatever changes we'll make here and restart. Let's put another line of event. This is new log line in the sample. Okay, again restart it and we should see this line as well there in this Splunk. Cool. So we have this. This is new log line. So it's working fine. So I think that's it for this session. It's been a long one, so sorry about that. But yeah, I think we have learned a lot many things, basics of troubleshooting the things as well. So I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.